Remember where I met you? At the door, painted red, hidden there in plain sight, like the smile you're wearing tonight as it reels me in.
Hello Bookish Besties, my name is Medallio and welcome to my channel Bookish Bedroom Reviews with Medallio, where I review smutty and lovely indie books with giggles and honest commentary. I'll also provide AI-generated images of what I believe the love interests look like, so please support indie authors with me. Like and subscribe for more reviews and recs just like these. So I read and reviewed a dark reverse harem Omegaverse for you that I'm really excited to get into. It's called The Comfort of Pain by Kitt Lynn. And this is my first time reading a book by Lynn. This is also book one in the Dark Market Omegaverse series, or Dark Market Omega series. And I am definitely going to read some more books from Kitt. This was good. This was really good. And it's also a standalone, you know, our favorite. But first things first, question to the readers. Okay, if you could name your favorite Omegaverse reverse harem or paranormal reverse harem that you wish you could just go back and reread, which one would it be? I don't mean reread, I mean you could just erase your memory and read it again because it was that good. Mine is Carnage Island, A Rejected Mate's Romance by Lexi C. Foss. I would erase my memories a million times just to read this again. And sorry about the noise. I have my windows open because it's hot today. But that's mine. And I hope that you read it. It was a really, really good book. Spice level. So I give this 3 peppers. Not because it didn't have a lot of spice, but because there were some slow burn moments, but I think that it stayed true to the plot, which is really great. The slow burn was between Beth and her mates, but there wasn't a slow burn in the beginning of the book, if you know what I mean. So I would say read it for yourself and see what you think. Star rating. So this got 4 stars. This was written very well, and I was immediately dragged into this, mainly because I was like, how is this a dark Omegaverse? Because I had just come off of reading The Bonds of Hate, and that was pretty dark, but that was dark in a different way. But this book, the dark parts of this book were so well written because it kind of stumped me. Like, I thought that the dark parts would be Beth's mates being abusive or verbally abusive to her or forceful, but that wasn't the case. The dark parts of this book were the outside world and how Omegas were treated beyond being with their pack mates. And I also think that the author stayed true to Beth's emotions throughout the book. And I think if the author hadn't, it would have been strange, honestly. So the story starts with Beth. She is an Omega and she lives in the north, and you'll find out that there's different regions to this particular story. But in the north, this is where people are known to be more feral, uneducated, and they're just nouveau to the outside world. The author describes it as, in the north, laws are just a suggestion. So Beth is the eldest, and she's the only Omega besides her mother, and she has brothers who are alphas, but her fathers are Burke, who's an alpha, Tony, an alpha, and Scott, who's a beta, and he's like the kindest one to her, and her mother is also kind to her as well. But Burke is very, very abusive. He's abusive to everybody, and he tells Beth one night that he's selling her to another pack. And Beth is like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to run away. So she retaliates, and she does like a very spur of the moment decision to just leave. And she quickly regrets it because she gets abducted by an alpha and a really strong beta. So I think that Beth just doesn't, like I said, they're very nouveau to the outside world. So she's been told all her life, you can't leave this property because it's not safe. I think that she just didn't really believe that it was a real thing, that Omegas were getting kidnapped. I don't know. It's just, she seemed very disconnected to that information until it happened to her. The alpha and the beta, they take her to the mortar where omegas are sold, and this is where she's drugged because she's acting very feral because she's terrified, and she's basically waiting for her fate. At the same time this is happening, the Bava pack, they're on their way to the mortar to get an omega. So I think that for this, in this universe, omegas are necessary in packs for alphas because they give like a really great balance to the aggression and testosterone that alphas, you know, give off. So they're on their way to finally get their omega. It took them a while to obtain the funds to be able to afford it. So, but on the way, they get jumped by the Bosco pack, and it ends up making them late to the auction, which is really upsetting because they miss seeing Beth, or what if they were able to see Beth, they missed it. But the person running the mortar decides to give them a chance and lets them go see Beth, and they're warning them, you know, she's feral, she's deadly, I wouldn't do it. But, you know, the pack leader, he's like, I like her, I'm gonna take her. So they buy her and they take her home. Now, Beth is very upset by this, and rightfully so. She's also on a quest to get back home. She's just like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Not at all. This isn't what I wanted. So, but I think that Beth, I think her anxiousness is getting the better of her because she just keeps telling these guys, I need to go home. I need to go home. But I think her anxiousness is more so by the fact of she knows that Burke is violent, and she's worried that he took out his anger on the family because of her leaving. So, and she's worried that he may have hurt her mother, which I think is understandable. But I'm just like, Beth, you were getting hurt the whole time. What are you going to do when you get there and you confront Burke? And he's a stronger person than you, and he's obviously more violent and unpredictable than you are. What are you going to do? You know, like, she really sees herself as a savior in this. But she's also confusedly turned on by the pack leader, Kitt Lynn, where her body just keeps responding to him in a way that she's not used to because she's never been aroused by an alpha before. And she wants to run away so badly, but she knows that the alpha is going to chase her. But she's also curious to find out what's going to happen if he catches me. I didn't think it was necessary for Beth to have these like definitely inflated feelings for Lyndon and to like blurt them out. I didn't think it was necessary. I was like, girl, you know you don't love Lyndon. You know that's not the reason why you want to go back. But I understand like the brain, you know, how the brain works where it grasps onto anything when you feel like you're being backed into a corner and you just need something to like minutely justify your actions. But girl, come on now. And Killian, he clocked that so fast. I'm glad he did. So Beth, she keeps attempting to run away from the Bava pack, and she is not successful until the one time she is, and she gets abducted again by unknown alphas. Beth, girl, why are you constantly running away knowing what's going to happen? You got kidnapped one other time. Why aren't you learning? Girl, learn. I was like, I'm so done with this. I'm so done with her getting kidnapped. It better not happen again. Luckily, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't happen again. I'm trying to think. Did it? It doesn't happen again. I was so done with it. But the Bava pack, they hunt her down and they bring her back. And this is like a turning point now in their dynamic because Beth decides to stop fighting them. And she just finally realizes and gives in to the fact that they're good guys. They have not hurt her. They keep telling her that she's safe. They're giving her everything she needs to survive. I mean, girl, they're not like your dad. And I understand that. It's hard to break away from the trauma that you grew up with, that you knew your whole life. Completely understand. But she's finally giving them a chance, which I'm really glad about. And the other part of the story that I love the most is that they're not in a relationship with just Beth. These guys are also in a relationship with each other. Oh, my favorite. Character analysis. Get ready. There's a lot of characters in this book. Beth, she's traumatized her whole life. She's older than a normal Omega. That's usually in like the other books. I think she's like 25 in this book. And she's also older for an unbonded Omega. She's very stubborn and she's very impulsive, as you can see with her decision making. She also has a very sugary sweet scent. Pack Alpha Killian. He is gentle and affectionate. He's loving, but also authoritative. And he also respects the dynamic between an Omega and an Alpha, but he also respects the Omega and what she wants as well. And he smells like whiskey-soaked cherries. Basil. He is cordial. He also wears his emotions on his sleeve, which isn't very common in this particular world for an Alpha to do. He is an Alpha. And he smells like fallen rain and linen. And let me tell you, I would be smelling him all day.
You smell good.
Tristan. He's bigger than the other Alphas out there because he is an Alpha, but the author describes him as like thicker, but he's also hard in all the right places. I think he's a gentle giant. He has like this like really terrifying face, I guess, where he's like got scars and stuff, and he just comes across as very terrifying, and he's a very bigger person. But I think he's just a gentle giant, honestly. He is violent to the outside world, but never to his pack, and he smells like a bonfire. Jeremy is just so sweet. He's very kind, genuine, thoughtful. Oh, he's such a great balance to the pack. And he's also a beta, and he smells like lemon and sage. Conflict. Okay, so there's a lot of conflict going on in this book, but I narrowed it down to these. The first conflict is the fact that Beth's father is a walking red flag, and he is on the hunt for her ever since she ran away and left him basically without the deal that he was trying to make to pay off his debts. Her dad, I really hated him, and well done on that writing, because he was a hated character for sure. Another conflict is Beth's refusal to adjust to the Bava group, and just her lack of self-awareness in terms of her well-being and her safety, honestly. And then I think a really like minute conflict is between like this war between Pac Bava and Pac Bosco. Conclusion. The Comfort of Pain by Kitt Lynn. It gives us a really new and interesting take on an Omegaverse with dark themes. The Alphas were golden retrievers to their Omega, but they were also vicious to the outside world. The world building and the plot made this an easy read, and it also made me want way more from the story. There were two things that I didn't completely understand. We have modern conveniences in this world. Modern conveniences that Beth isn't entirely aware of. She's heard about them, but she's never seen them. The Alphas, the pack, they have cars. So they're on the way to the mortar. They get jumped by Bosco and his pack. Why didn't they just drive to the mortar? We know that they have cars because the Alphas mentioned like they see fancy cars parked at the mortar from other Alphas that have way more money than them. So then why didn't they just drive? And also because it's so unsafe for Omegas to be outside, why wouldn't you just drive, like, for her safety, you know? Another modern inconvenience part of the book that I didn't really understand why it wasn't utilized better. They have cell phones. So then why is Tristan mailing off letters? Handwritten letters. On top of that, I know that there's a scene where Tristan is mailing these letters off, And I think it's to drive the plot point where there's missing posters that Beth's father, Burke, has put up in town. We know this because the post office clerk informs Beth and Tristan of this information. Now, the clerk also says the posters are outside. We have not once heard about the posters. We only hear about them once they go into the post office. The post office tells them Burke put them up. Easily could have just added Burke Razor. Contact him for reward once you find her. Easy peasy. But that's not what happened. I just think if you're going to put modern conveniences in a book, then it should be that. You shouldn't go back and forth. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. But there were some things that I swooned over that I absolutely loved about the book. I loved Beth and Killian's interactions. I loved Beth and Tristan's interactions. And I loved the scene where Beth and Jeremy are gossiping together while they're having tea time. I loved it. I wanted my own. I wanted Jeremy. Where is he? Where is he? Recommendation. I do recommend that you pick up your copy of The Comfort of Pain by Kitt Lynn. Just note that there is physical and verbal abuse in this. There's also kidnapping and childhood trauma, but it's not within her pack completely, you know. I can guarantee a happy ending because it's a standalone. So happy about that. It's not a series, thank goodness. Well, not technically a series, but I can guarantee a happy ending and all the villains get what is coming to them. But that is all I have for you for this review. But have you picked up any really good fated mate paranormal romances recently? Well, you're in luck because there is a popular new series called the Hybrid series, and it is by yours truly, Medallio Green. And you have book 1, Youngblood, book 2, Shadow Creatures, and they are all on Kindle Unlimited. I will leave the information in the caption for you. Also, please leave a review. Let me know what you think of the books. Please support indie authors with me. Subscribe, and subscribe for more recs and reviews just like these. If you have a business, a bookish business, and you would like to sponsor my podcast, please reach out. I would love that. I do unboxings, so I do have some blind date with the book unboxings I need to post. So I do those. They're so important to the bookish community. You are so important to the bookish community. So if you're interested, please reach out. I would really appreciate it. But that's all I've got. Thank you. Goodbye.
Remember where I met you? At the door, painted red, hidden there in plain sight, like the smile you're